SourceDots.com.
So here these are the four allotropes of hydrogen. Okay, what are those? Nascent hydrogen, molecular hydrogen, atomic hydrogen, and active hydrogen. Okay. In the previous lecture only I have told three are very important and additional useful information will be active hydrogen. Okay. So normally in our daily life, whatever we see is molecular hydrogen. Okay. Whatever we see is molecular hydrogen. But the problem with molecular hydrogen is less reactive. Okay. This hydrogen is less reactive. Okay. So let us take ferric chloride, FeCl3. Okay. Reduction if we are carrying out the reduction with the FeCl3 of ferric chloride is reduced, cannot be reduced by using the molecular hydrogen or ordinary hydrogen. Also some books they have written molecular hydrogen also represented as normal hydrogen. Okay, so this reduction is not possible. Acidified potassium permanganate. Okay, acidified KMNO4. Acidified KMNO4, no reaction. Reduction is not possible. Okay, and chlorate. Sorry. These are the drawbacks of the molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen cannot reduce. Molecular hydrogen cannot reduce ferric chloride, cannot reduce acidified potassium permanganate, cannot reduce perchlorate, but it can be reduced by using the nascent hydrogen. Okay, so what is nascent hydrogen? First of all, you understood the what are the drawback of the molecular hydrogen. Normally H2 molecule is called as a molecular hydrogen or normal hydrogen because of the high stability. High stability is further due to duplet configuration. In H2, both hydrogen contains duplet configuration. Hence, it is highly stable. Once it is highly stable, obviously reactivity will be less. So, actually it is supposed to be a good reducing agent. But reducing properties are not predominant due to its stability. So, that can be regenerated at the moment of generation. Okay, nascent means movement of generation. What is the movement of generation and how we are going to make it possible and how it is represented? Mainly people are not knowing that this is what nascent hydrogen it is called as. Okay, so on the arrow how it is represented, when you will come to know that it is nascent hydrogen, that I am going to tell you. Okay, first of all, note down all these four types of allotropes of hydrogen: nascent, molecular, atomic, and active. Okay, I think all of you noted now. Now let's see the nascent hydrogen. Okay, nascent means English meaning is newly born. Okay, newly born. Hindi meaning is navjat. Okay, navjat. That means newly born hydrogen is called as a nascent hydrogen. The movement of generation. Okay, highly word used. Nascent means movement of generation. Okay, movement of generation. That is nascent. Okay, so whenever something is generated, that time obviously the activeness will be very high. Like when you enter into the 10th class, when you just joined the 11th class, that time you will be with full josh. You will think that I will start studying sincerely from now itself, and I will top the class, I will top the university. Like that, when the moment you join something, that time full josh. Understood? After some days, slowly your Josh will get come down. Same happens with the hydrogen. Okay. So let us take Zn amalgamated zinc. Okay. You might have seen on the arrows, it will be written amalgamated zinc oblique HCl. On arrow, it will be written like this. Okay. So what does it mean? When zinc react with the HCl, it will form the ZnCl2 plus. Initially, this 2H will be there. What is this? ZnCl2 plus 2 moles of nascent hydrogen will be there. But after fraction of seconds, these two hydrogen will combine to form the stable hydrogen. Okay, what is this? This is the stable hydrogen. Once it is stabilized, we cannot expect any reaction from this. So we wanted it to be utilized immediately when it is generated. That is called as a nascent hydrogen. So we will not write H2 here because we are not using it as H2. As soon as it is generated, we will put it into the reaction. Okay. Instead of losing its activity, that high energy which is it is possessing during the generation must be immediately implemented in the reaction. Therefore, they are written like this. Okay. So many places you will find on arrows like amalgamated zinc oblique HCl. Okay. Same way SnCl2 oblique HCl. So that means this tin will react with the HCl to form SnCl4. Then these two hydrogens, okay, these two hydrogens will be 2 moles of HCl, it will react, and these 2 moles of hydrogen will be utilized in the reaction itself. Okay. So if you wait, then they will convert into what? If you procure the product of this reaction after fraction of seconds, that means what hydrogen you are using? What hydrogen you are using? If you are waiting the product and unused for some time, that product, whatever the hydrogen you are using, that will be molecular hydrogen. Very good. Understood? Product will be same, but allotropic form will be changing. Understood? So product initially will be nascent hydrogen. After some time, it is going to be molecular hydrogen. Okay. So that is what the nascent hydrogen. So if I write on this, let us take ferric chloride, FeCl3. Then reduction is possible because this is nascent hydrogen. Okay. Potassium permanganate, decolorization. Okay. There is advantage of the KMNO4 is whether the reaction is carried out or not, that can be identified by just by decolorized. KMNO4 will be decolorized if it is reduced. It will be, if on reduction, it will be decolorized. So if I write them on this one, then the reaction is possible. But if I write H2, no reaction. If I write this one, reaction possible. Perchlorate will be ClO4, okay, and ClO3, chlorate or perchlorate. If I write ClO3 minus this reduction, if I write on them, then it is okay. If I write H2, no reaction possible. Okay. So that is the differences between the nascent and molecular hydrogen. So wherever we require high reducing property, so reducing property of nascent hydrogen is more than the molecular hydrogen because of its high reactivity. Now we will explain why it is highly reactive. See, if I write H2, if I write 2H, where the number of moles are more, here number of moles are more. So number of moles are more, then pressure will be very high. Due to high pressure, the reactivity will be less. That is in terms of the pressure I have explained. And in terms of the energy also we can explain. Okay. So once these two hydrogen will combine to form H2, 2H gives H2 is a dash thermic reaction. Exothermic or endothermic? 2H gives H2 is a exothermic reaction or endothermic reaction. 2H gives H2 Here if I write 2H, that means there is no bond between them. And here H2 means bond is formed. So bond formation is always exothermic. Okay. So bond formation during, and you see the energy wise also. H2 energy is less. Okay. Here energy is more. So more energy to less energy. So that remaining energy will come out. Understood? Otherwise, simply you can remember bond formation is always exothermic reaction. Bond formation is always exothermic reaction. So because of this, less energy, more stable, less reactivity. That's why molecular hydrogen is less reactive than nascent hydrogen. Then we should be able to differentiate between molecular hydrogen and nascent hydrogen. Therefore, nowadays they will write this as a square bracket H. How they will write? They will write it as a square bracket H. Okay. So this is what the nascent hydrogen. I think it is clear to all of you. Okay, note down this. Okay, next one is third allotropic form of the hydrogen is atomic hydrogen. Okay, it is just nothing but reverse. So the moment it was generated was nascent hydrogen. After that, after fraction of second, it is molecular. And when that hydrogen molecule is heated about 2000 Kelvin also, even you heat up to the 2000, nearly 2000 Kelvin temperature also, still you will find only 0.081% of hydrogen breaking into the two atoms, that is atomic hydrogens. Okay, even at a high temperature of 2000 Kelvin, hydrogen molecule converts into atomic hydrogen only 0.081% only. So if you increase the temperature then to the 5000 Kelvin, this hydrogen to atomic hydrogen conversion percentage is how much? 95 point more. That means more than double. That is 2.5 times. If you are increasing the temperature, then you can change even at this high temperature also. It is not able to convert complete hydrogen molecule into atomic hydrogen. Understood? So why it is? Just because of the very high bond energy. Bond energy of hydrogen is 436 kilojoule per mole. Now what can be the reason for this much high bond energy? Because hydrogen atom is very small. So once very small, so bond length will be very small. Bond length is very small, bond energy will be very much high. And the one more advantage is that there is no lone pair. Like fluorine is supposed to be highly bond energy, but it have the lower bond energy just because of the in fluorine what happens even though bond energy is less, this is like exception we can say. So due to repulsion between the lone pair of the both, bond energy is exceptionally low in the fluorine, but there is no such lone pairs present on hydrogen. So lone pair repulsions are absent and atomic size is very small. Therefore, bond length is very small. Therefore, bond energy is very high. Understood? So this is about the preparation of the atomic hydrogen. When you heat the molecular hydrogen at 5000 Kelvin, you will achieve 95.5% of molecular hydrogen converted into atomic hydrogen. So the energy of the atomic hydrogen is very, very high. Atomic hydrogen energy is what? Very, very high. This is in terms of the energy. So once energy wise it is more, stability wise will be very, very less. Very, very less. Okay. That can be proved by using the half-life. This can be the life of atomic hydrogen. Okay, after giving so much of high temperature, so much of energy, but still we can see the atomic hydrogen in this form only for 1/3 of a second. That means 20, even not 1 second also, it is 1/3 of a second only. It will stays as atomic hydrogen. After that, again it will convert back to the, from here to here, lot of efforts. Okay, but here to here, immediately within fraction of 1/3 of the second, this atomic hydrogen will be converted back into the molecular hydrogen. Is that clear to all of you? Now, who will say this is exothermic or endothermic? This backward reaction, atomic hydrogen to hydrogen conversion, is exothermic or endothermic? It is my question. Okay, see here, just now I told you to break this hydrogen to atomic hydrogen, I require 436 kilojoules. So, in a conservation of energy, if this direction 436 is required, this direction it will be, how much it will be? Same 436, but it was endothermic, so this will be exothermic. But rate of speed of conversion, this was very slow. Okay, because we have to maintain this much high temperature and we have to give this much heat. But see, conversion from back to the atomic to the hydrogen taking how much time? Only 1/3 of a second. Therefore, this is very, very highly exothermic. How exothermic it is? Highly exothermic. Okay. So because of that, it is found used in atomic hydrogen welding torch. Where it is used? I think all of you have noted this. So now I am writing some new points. Half life is 1/3 of second. Bond energy 436. At 5000 conversion percentage is only 95.5. At 2000 it is very little, 0.081, and atomic to hydrogen is highly exothermic. Okay, these points you have noted. If not noted, you can note it afterwards. Okay, so because of, next point, I think fifth point or fourth point, because of highly exothermic nature, because of highly exothermic nature, because of highly exothermic nature, uh, atomic hydrogen to molecular hydrogen, it is used, in atomic hydrogen welding torch. Very, very important objective. Atomic hydrogen welding torch. Okay, atomic hydrogen welding torch. Okay, so why it is highly exothermic? Time is very small and energy is very much high. So why hydrogen, atomic hydrogen used in welding torch is understood? It is used for joining the metals. Where it is used? It is used for joining the metals. Okay, and a very important point, atomic hydrogen. Atomic hydrogen is strong reducing agent. Which agent? Reducing agent. Strong reducing agent. Okay. So note down these very, very important points. Why it is highly reactive. Okay. Highly reactive. Why? Because highly energetic. Why energetic? Because bond energy of H2 is very much high. Okay. Note down these points. Okay, next to fourth one is active hydrogen. Is it visible to all of you? If not visible, you can read, note down now. Active hydrogen. How it is prepared? That was prepared by heating up to 2000 to 5000. Okay, which one? Atomic hydrogen. But active hydrogen is prepared even at room temperature. But how? By passing the hydrogen gas through the silent electric discharge. What is silent electric discharge? It is a sparkless discharge. Okay, once high voltage is discharged, high voltage is neutralized, so there can be sparks. Okay, so sparkless electric discharge is called as a silent electric discharge. Okay, and how much voltage is discharged? 30,000 voltage. Okay, their temperature required was very high. Here voltage required will be very high, but here temperature is what? Room temperature only. Okay, so out of the all hydrogens, active hydrogen is the highly reactive. Active hydrogen is the highly reactive. It can directly react. I will write that also. It can directly react with the lead also, even sulfur also. Okay, without at room temperature only. At normal temperature or room temperature. Okay, normally it will not react if molecular hydrogen plus Pb, no reaction. S plus H2, no reaction. But S plus active hydrogen, immediate reaction. Pb plus active hydrogen, immediate reaction even at room temperature also. Here you need not to heat, immediately product of H2S and PbH2 will be produced. Okay, note down this. Okay, next topic is preparation of hydrogen. Okay, so first and easiest best method is simply react highly electropositive metals such as alkali metal or alkaline earth metals. When just they react with water, hydrogen will be liberated and alkali metal or alkaline earth metal will be converted back to the hydroxides like sodium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide. Ultimately, we'll get hydrogen. But in lab, we use dilute sulfuric acid or dilute HCl. Okay. So we have to use two things. We have to use the impure zinc only. Okay. What we have to use? Impure zinc only. Why? Because pure zinc requires high activation energy. Pure zinc requires high activation energy. All of you should note down because every point I may not dictate you to note down. So pure zinc is less slow reaction. Okay. Impure will be highly reactive because impurities available with the zinc will act as an electrolytic catalyst. What catalyst? Electrolytic catalyst. Therefore, impure zinc is only preferred. Normally, in all places, we think that pure will be better, but here we deliberately we take what? Impure zinc. Okay, and here also we will use the dilute HCl. What we will use? Dilute HCl. So why we are not using concentrated? There is a reason behind it that I am going to tell you now. ZnCl2 plus H2. Okay. So if I use concentrated nitric acid or nitric acid, so along with the hydrogen, oxides of nitrogen can also be evolved, like nitric oxide, NO2, N2O, NO. So they may also be evolved when concentrated. When I use sulfuric acid, oxides of sulfur will be evolved. When I use concentrated HCl, HCl can also evaporate. So we prefer to use dilute HCl. Dilute HCl, slow evaporation, no impurities, purity will be very, very high. Okay, this is what the lab preparation method conditions we use. Impure zinc, dilute HCl, dilute sulfuric acid also, no problem. Okay, we have studied about the preparation method. Preparation means when you prepare in the less quantity but high purity. Preparation method means quantity prepared will be less and purity will be high. But in manufacturing, what will be the difference? Quantity will be very large and impurity will also be very large. Purity will be less. Okay. So coal gasification. Coal gasification method also called as water gas shift reaction. Okay. Coal gasification and water gas shift reaction both are same. And here we will call it as we will carry out in the two steps. In how many steps? Two steps. Okay. When coke, this is what coke. Okay, it is allotropic form of the carbon. When water passed over, when steam passed over the coke, then it will be converted into equimolar mixture of carbon monoxide and hydrogen. Okay. So as it is prepared from the water vapor, therefore it is called as this mixture. The mixture of CO and H2 is called as what? Water gas. Why it is called? Because water is converting the coke into gas. But it is used in the synthesis. Why it is syn? Because it is used in the synthesis of methanol. Okay, and many hydrocarbon. Therefore, it is also called as syngas. Okay, syngas and water gas both are simple mixture of CO and H2. Okay, so and why it is called water gas? Why it is called syngas? Reasons are different. Okay, but through this water gas, again twice the amount of water vapor is still again passed. Okay, already we have passed. Then again, after the formation of water gas, then two times, twice the amount of, suppose if it is 1 liter, we will pass 2 liter of steam over that. Okay, so then it will be converted. This carbon monoxide will be converted into carbon dioxide, and balancing I have not done. Okay, so hydrogen will be liberated. So water is shifting this carbon monoxide water gas into the hydrogen. That's why this is also called as water gas shift reaction. What it is called as water gas shift reaction. Note down this. Okay, next manufacture method is Lane's process. What is the next one? Lane's process. Okay. Here, Lane's process. Here also it is carried out in actually two steps. Oh shit. It is carried out in how many steps? Two steps. Okay. So this is the red hot iron. What iron? It is already red hot iron, and here we are using what heated? Superheated. Already above 100 degrees Celsius you will find steam. Okay, and above 100 degrees Celsius it is called as a superheated steam. Okay, so we will take a funnel like this, sorry, test tube or whatever you can say. It will be some tube like this. Okay, so here iron pieces are kept. What are kept? Iron pieces, and they are made red hot. See, this is what we are making it red hot by continuously heating. Okay, and then what we will do through one pipe. Through one pipe, send the we will send what? Superheated steam. Okay, superheated steam, and this is red hot iron. So when they both react with each other, this will be converted. During this process, we will collect the hydrogen. What we will collect? We will collect the hydrogen. What we will collect? We will collect hydrogen. Is it understood? So here, after certain point of time, this total iron whichever is available, it is completely converted into Fe3O4. Then even though you send water, you will receive water because there is no absorption capacity of the iron, because already all iron is converted into Fe3O4. So once we started receiving H2O, we will understand that no more iron is there. Okay, so then we will stop this process. What they will do? We will stop this process. Now at this stage, what we are kept here? Fe3O4. Okay, then what we will do? We will send the what do you call? CO plus H2, water gas. CO plus H2. Okay. Now the second step reaction will take place. I think this already you are noted. First diagram and first reaction you note down. Then this diagram I will again draw. For the time being, you should make it as a Fe only. Okay. So then after second reaction, second stage I will tell you, so that your note should be clear. This should be red hot iron. Okay, red hot iron, and here what we are sending? Steam we are sending in this direction, that too superheated steam. And what we are receiving? We are receiving the hydrogen. You note down this diagram. Second step I will tell you. Okay. In first step, what we are receiving? We are receiving the hydrogen gas. What we are sending? Steam, superheated steam over what? Red hot iron. Note down. Then I will draw the second stage reaction and the diagram. Okay, see next step two. That was the first step. In the next step, when we will start the next step, when all iron converted into Fe3O4. Once all iron is converted into Fe3O4, then we will stop sending the water steam here. We will stop receiving the hydrogen gas. That is the production stage. But after certain point of time, we got to regain it. Why we call it as a manufacture? Because manufacturer wants profits. Okay, so they don't want anything to be wasted. That iron is now converted into Fe3O4. So they wanted that iron back. Okay, so now what we will send? We will send the carbon monoxide or hydrogen. This mixture is called as, just now I told you what it is called as, CO plus H2 is called as water gas or syngas. Okay, so water gas or syngas is now passed. Now once it is sent, it is a good reducing agent. Understood? So if carbon monoxide react, then also you will get 3 moles of Fe, 4 moles of CO2. Okay, even hydrogen also react, same thing happens. 3 moles of Fe plus 4 moles of H2O. Is it understood? So we will send, keep on sending, keep on sending, keep on sending till the time whatever the Fe3O4 is there, that is converted back to iron. Understood? Once all Fe3O4 converted back to iron, then what we will do? We will stop this process. Okay, then we will start again this process. We will keep on producing the hydrogen gas alternatively. Okay, if it is iron, then we will get hydrogen. If it is Fe3O4, then we will get the CO and H2O. So two steps and two different products. Okay, but producing stage is which one? Steam over the red hot iron. Is that understood? Lane's process, is it clear to all of you? Note down this second step. Okay, next one is UNO process. Okay, UNO process is simply scrap aluminium, whichever the aluminium articles we have used and throwing, that scrap aluminium when treated with alkali, then this is converted into sodium aluminate and hydrogen is liberated. Okay, these are all the manufacture method. But you want some quantity, but pure quantity, then the best method, economical method, is electrolysis of water. H2O on electrolysis gives H2 plus O2. Okay. So if you want some more high pure, instead of water, we can use the barium hydroxide. In case of the platinum, we will use nickel electrode. This is very important. Highly pure hydrogen prepared by electrolysis of barium hydroxide with nickel electrodes. Which electrodes? Nickel electrodes. Okay. So if you're not interested to prepare the hydrogen, so you can also get as a byproduct. Okay. So note down this, then I will tell you byproduct. Okay, byproduct means we are preparing something else. As an additional, we are getting this hydrogen. As an additional, what we are getting? We are getting the hydrogen. Okay. First is cracking of hydrocarbons. Okay. Cracking of hydrocarbons. Cracking of hydrocarbon means breaking of a big molecule into small molecules. Okay. Breaking of big hydrocarbons into small hydrocarbon. Okay. So during that, some extra hydrogen will be liberated. That is, our intention is to break big molecule into small hydrocarbons. Okay. Because small hydrocarbons are best for the complete combustion. So during that, we will get additional product of hydrogen. Understood? Second thing, brine solution. What is brine solution? NaCl aqueous. Okay. So when you electrolyze this, you will get NaOH as a product. Okay, this is the preparation method of the sodium hydroxide. But apart from that, you will get hydrogen gas at one electrode and chlorine gas at another electrode. Okay, so these are the two byproduct you will get in addition to the main product NaOH. Okay, so these are the preparation methods of hydrogens. Understood? Now next properties and all we will discuss in our next session. See you. Bye bye.